Good morning, everyone. I'm
Morning.
going to call this committee meeting of Finance and Admin to order. I'm assuming roll call has been taken. I'm gonna.
Yes, it has.
Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome.
Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. All right. Can I get an adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held on March 12th? If anybody can remember back that far. Moved by Councillor Sweet, seconded by the warden. Any errors or omissions, if people can remember? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. We have no delegations, so I'm going to go right to the administration report. Where's Paul? Oh, there he is. Hey, Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You, Warden. Thank you, Warden. With your approval, I will start on item number 1.
I'm not the warden.
Oh, sorry. And yeah, this is not starting well, is it?
No. Where's Garfunkel this morning, Paul?
He's writing a letter, ma'am. So if I may start, under information, item number 1, financial statement for Renfrew County District Health Unit. So we were provided the updated financial statements for the health unit. Committee should also be aware that yesterday at the health committee, we also identified that the latest minutes of public health are posted on the website as well. Moving on, Chair, if I may, unbudgeted capital equipment purchases, Miramichi Lodge carpet extractor. That we did with savings from the phone system. We purchased a carpet extractor that was, or cleaner, I guess I would call it, that was on its last legs. So that was unbudgeted for, but we had made that purchase and wanted to bring that forward to Finance and Admin Committee. Item number 3, Chair, if I may, is the service delivery review update. Attached is the updated review of the service delivery review. This part of the process looks at similar type counties across across the province actually, who deliver similar types of service. So those were the criteria that Strategy Court looked at when trying to do an analysis of our services. They looked at geography, population, and then the services that the other counties provided as a comparator for us. So I thought that was interesting to provide and make sure that committee was aware of that information. If I may continue, Chair. Item number 4, the Community Gardens Project. The Crisis Communications team has designed and launched an advertising campaign to promote the Social Services Community Gardens Project. I know that this project has taken off and has been a great success, so we wanted to inform committee of that. Item number 5, supporting Renfrew County's virtual assessment and triage center and the local municipalities. That is the schedule. I apologize for it being so small, but please keep an eye on social media and our websites for that schedule to be updated. Our paramedics, along with representatives of public health, are doing swabbing for COVID-19, and these swabbing centers move throughout the county and are scheduled, I believe, for 2-hour increments throughout the day, and we try to make it as available to as many residents of the county of Renfrew as possible. If I may, I'd like to compliment in item number 6, the community messaging around COVID-19 and the work that Mike Barber and the communications team has done. It's just been fantastic. And you see here that the messages and the posters that have been prepared that are all out on social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, you will see that there's a series of advertisements that we continue to promote and have available to our residents on social media about COVID-19 and the best measures to take to protect yourself. That's item number 6, Chair. And then the next item is resolutions and it's item number 7. Would you like me to continue on at resolutions?
Why don't we just go back quickly for information and then we'll go on to resolutions. So any comments, questions on item number 1? Seeing none. Number 2, the unbudgeted. Oh, there's Michael Donahue. Good morning, Michael. The carpet extractor. Number 3, the service delivery review. I really enjoyed my interview. I think that we definitely went with the right company. Number 4, the community gardens project. Yes, Councillor Brose.
Yes, I just wanted to add to Paul's comments about the community garden and how it's taken off. At our social service committee meeting yesterday, Carol made mention of the fact that on Nelson Street, there's a community garden going in the space where I guess it was at one time an old playground and hasn't been used for almost 20 years. So great news, and it looks like that housing group is really behind the whole project. So just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
Thank you for that. That's great. Anything further on number 4? Number 5, the VTAC. So we're going to lobby to keep that. Number 6, the community messaging. Yes, Councillor Brose. I like how you're like, don't miss me.
Well, I did get reminded by the warden at the last meeting. I wasn't visible enough in my hand putting up, so I'm trying to do a better job now.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to echo Paul's comments on communication. It has been fantastic, and our CAO has commented a number of times on how great that the messaging and communication has been from county through Mike Barber and also through Bruce Beakley and all of the other staff that are associated with the county. I mean, once again, can't say enough about the great support. Thank you
For those comments. That's excellent. I love the photo of Steve Osipenko. He's so cheeky looking. Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Chair Murphy. I apologize for being late. Perhaps Mr. Morrow may have addressed this. I'd sent him a copy of my annotated report. Just in the service delivery review, there was a misstatement by Strategy Corp vis-a-vis the population density of Prescott Russell. It was understated by 75%. When I saw the number, I thought, well, they can't possibly be nearly the size geographically that we are, and in fact, they are not. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that chart was had some incorrect information.
Thank you for that. So we can have that. Yeah, sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that, Warden. That is something I will raise with Strategy Corp and have them correct it. I appreciate that.
Deb, he doesn't even know he's doing it.
Yeah, you called it word again. You know, it's we're both women. We look alike. You can't figure it out. We all look alike, right?
All right. Is there anything further on 6? So we can have. Yeah, I'm losing control of this meeting. All right, Paul, let's go on to resolutions.
Thank you for that, Chair. Item number 7 is is a resolution, a recommendation, and if I may, I'll read it.
Please.
Thank you. The recommendation, whereas the Association of Municipalities of Ontario represents the interests of municipalities on policy and program matters that fall within provincial jurisdiction, therefore it be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Renfrew supports that Councillor Emo stand for election to the Rural Caucus, AMO Board of Directors, and by extension to the Roma Board of Directors, and be it therefore resolved that County Council approves that the funds be included in the 2021 budget for Council Emo's attendance at the AMO Board meetings for the period from September 2020 to August 2022. I did note that Councillor Donahue did indicate that there was a previous resolution done. When we read through the information package, the nomination package, it did require a resolution. We just wanted to be safe and have a current resolution that was passed, that was right up to date with the new nomination package that Councillor Emo would be submitting. Thank you for that, Chair.
And I noted the same thing. I thought we'd already done this, but I thought AMO required this from us. Okay, they needed a fresh one. Paul's checking.
Yes, that is correct. The AMO package is attached. And if I could just find the call for nominations, I believe that it's part of their checklist that is
That's
on.
what I thought too.
Yes, that's correct. So it's part of their checklist. I'm just trying to find the page number here. I believe it's page 32 of the report that requires 33. Thank you for that, Rose. Page 33 identifies the requirement for a resolution.
So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder on that. Moved by Councillor Doncaster, seconded by Councillor Peckett. Any conversation? Yes, Councillor Donoghue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yeah, that's correct. And I had provided this to Mr. Morrow. So the wording is precisely the same as FACC 20-0104. So that was a resolution that was passed in January. The only difference in this resolution than that one had provided that any funds that would be required in support of a successful campaign, if you will, I guess, that should Councillor Emo be elected to the board, that any funds be provided in the budget. So I assumed that was what had required this, because the change in this one is that it now speaks to the 2021 budget rather than just the 2020. But I'm just wondering also if at this time this board, this comprised AMO board that will be struck in this summer will extend right through until August, I believe, of 2022. Would it not be worthwhile to simply pass a resolution that would provide that the council for the county of Renfrew would ensure that through budget we would support this right through to its conclusion in 2022?
So do you want a friendly amendment to this particular resolution? This is specifically to go to AMO, though.
No, I understand that, but frankly, we already had one, and even though we passed it in January, I would have thought that would have met the threshold of what AMO was looking for. We've already passed a resolution supporting Councillor Emo's nomination and election. That if we are going to consider passing a new one, in my estimation, it would be more valuable to provide the budgetary direction right through to the conclusion, which would be in August 2022. With regards to, it would seem to me to be a friendly to Mr. Morrow, if we are simply extending the date of when we...
You froze there for a sec. We missed...
Thank you for that, Chair. If I may, I believe what Councillor Donoghue is suggesting is that the friendly amendment that funds be included in the 2021 budget, and we would add the words "and 2022 budget" for Councillor Emo's attendance, and I think that would address the issue.
All right, so I'll ask the mover and the seconder. Are they okay with the friendly amendment? Councillor Doncaster?
I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Councillor Peckett?
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. So if we can just make that friendly amendment, is there anything further on that resolution? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. All right. Number 8, Paul. I just realized, by the way, that I'm Dave Murr. Sorry about that, guys. I'm on Dave's laptop.
Thank you, Chair. Item number 8, I know it is titled Renfrew County Economic Task Force. It really should, my oversight, it should be really titled AMO Delegations. And so what it is, it's a recommendation seeking approval for the following topics to be covered off at future AMO delegations. So if I may, Chair, I'll read the recommendation.
Go ahead. Thanks, Paul.
That the Finance and Administration Committee recommend that County Council approve the submission of delegation requests for the AMO virtual conference by the deadline of June 26, 2020, and that the appropriate with the appropriate ministers as follows. 1, Minister of Infrastructure, Renfrew County Economic Task Force. 2, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Official Plan Amendment number 25, OPA 25, to the Renfrew County Official Plan. Number 3, Premier Minister of Health, Minister of Long-Term Care, Seniors Housing, Public Health, and Renfrew County VTAC as delegations during the AMO conference. Thank you for that.
So ask for a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by the warden, seconded by Councillor Peckett. Any discussion on those? Yes, Councillor Sweet.
Yeah, just for clarity there, and perhaps this needs to be found out. If any member of council is being asked, say by the warden, or has not paid the registration, is this a prerequisite to be heard before the minister, that you have to register at the AMO conference in order to be heard?
That's a very interesting question, and we had that at our own table as well. It's apparently my CAO actually went to a delegation with her previous boss, Councillor Donoghue, without registering. I think we all wanted to register to support Peter. I'm not sure what the rules of engagement will be for this virtual meeting. Councillor Donoghue.
Thank you very much, Chair Murphy. That is correct what you had stated, but the other thing is, and perhaps Mr. Morrow, you may be aware, I know that routinely, I believe, I know for certain, 1 year, your predecessor, Mr. Hutton, did not register and yet participated in about 5 or 6 delegations. Now, I don't know if that is something that would simply be extended to staff, but he certainly was not permitted entry into any of the plenary sessions, the lunches, the breakout sessions, etc. But as I understand it, I think that AMO facilitates the delegations, but they are not really within the aegis of the conference itself. So I would certainly suggest that be verified. But I know that has happened both with your current CAO, but also with the previous CAO for the county.
Yes, Warden.
Thank you. Perhaps we can just ask the CAO just to make a list of these delegations and the individuals that we need to be a part of it, and then we can look and see if they are in fact registered or not registered, and then we can clarify if being part of a delegation requires any registration fee.
Excellent. Yes, can we do that, please? Just to answer Councillor Sweet's question.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to get down there and find out that you can't go in and see the minister. So, and there's a fair amount of money involved with that. I know last year I was asked to appear on, to accept an award on a Sunday, and that was the only thing I was going to do. But then I ended up on Tuesday, and to make a long story short, I had no intentions of being part of the AMO conference, but in fact we had to pay the registration fee so that I could go through for the rest of it. So it just needs clarity at this point in time.
Except these meetings are going to be virtual.
Yes, I understand that, and this may change a little bit, Chair.
Yeah, interesting. All right, anything further on number 8? Okay, yes, Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just for the purposes of the minutes, that we'll just note that staff were directed to confirm whether or not registration is required for AMO this year, especially given that it is virtual meetings. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep. Thank you. All right. And I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. Anything, the report as a whole? Can I get a mover and second? Yes, Councillor Brose.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just had the question, and I forgot to ask it when we started the information items, but item number 1, the financial statements for the Renfrew County District Health Unit. I know early in the year they were looking for a 10% increase on their budget, and I know the county was going to do some follow-up on that request. I'm just wondering if there's any update, because having read the financial statement, I noticed that they did have a surplus last year, and their surplus stands at 1.9 million. So just curious if anything has happened in regards to their ask for the 10% increase.
Chair, if I may, Mr. Foss will respond to that one.
Oh, perfect. I was just going to ask Michael if he had any ideas, but go ahead, Jeff. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members of Finance Administration. At our meeting in January, I believe, we discussed the request that came forward from the Renfrew County and District Health Unit for the 10% increase. Staff had recommended that we follow up with a letter, really trying to understand the nature of the increase, the 10% increase. Of course, we were operating at the county level with a restriction on operating expenses of 2.5%. And so we had drafted a letter to be sent to the health unit at that time. I can tell you that letter is prepared, but was never sent to the health unit. And I think really in response to some of the ongoing issues related to COVID that the health unit was experiencing, we have deferred that request for further information. But that's really my update on it. We have the letter prepared. It has not been sent.
Yes, Councillor Donahue. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Chair Murphy, and thank you also to Mr. Foss, and ultimately thank you to Councillor Brose. Very valid question. I will first speak to Mr. Foss's comments. The restriction on the increase at the county is essentially at the Board of Health, or let me reverse that and say at the Board of Health, there is zero increase on our operating budget year over year from 2019 through 2020. The increase is due directly to the downloading of public health costs onto municipalities from the province of Ontario. As committee may recall, the province had already instituted a revised funding formula with respect to public health, where in 2019, there were several smaller components that were in fact 100% funded by the province of Ontario, but the vast majority of the public health program spending was cost shared on a 75-25 split. So what has happened moving into 2020, that funding cost share formula, even inclusive of almost all of the 100% formerly provincially funded, are now shared on a cost share of 70-30. That alone speaks to the increase. However, what I will bring back to committee's attention once again, the increase was substantially more than that, but the province had mandated that they would fund 90% of any of the change in costing due directly to the changed formula. So really the province has insulated municipalities from the full burden of that downloaded cost. Right off the top of my head, I cannot recall. I think the total cost, had there not been that provincial subsidy for this year only, would have been almost $500,000. And I think, in fact, perhaps Mr. Foss can correct me, I think the actual increase to the requirement from and I apologize because, of course, there are 3 municipalities providing funding, and I can't be certain whether the number I'm quoting is for all of the municipalities or if it may simply be the county of Renfrew. But it was more on the order of, I think, 25,000 to 50,000, something in that order. So it is an increase. There's no question, but that is the source of the increase, even though the budget was frozen for the delivery of public health programs and services for 2020. As a note of caution, certainly on the statement of financial position, the bottom line accumulated surplus is, of course, inclusive of tangible capital assets. They are not enormous, as they are certainly at the county of Renfrew with respect to linear assets, buildings, etc. But nonetheless, they are in excess of $500,000 that aren't liquid as a surplus. What I will bring back to committee's attention also, you will recall that there is the relocation that some substantial reserve funds have been set aside at this point, just under $500,000. It is, as we are moving forward, I think that it is my intention that the Board of Health certainly give consideration to utilization of more of the actual financial assets towards funding or offsetting the costs of that relocation.
Thank you for that. Anything further? All right, can I get a mover and a seconder for the CAO's report, please? Moved by Councillor Donoghue, seconded by Councillor Brose. All those in favor? Thank you. And now we will move on to the Treasurer's report. Go ahead, Mr. Voss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, good morning, members of the Finance Committee. My report begins on page 38 of your package, and item number 1 is really an update on 2019 financial statements. Typically, the month of June, you would see a smiling Ms. Karen Black presenting you our 2019 audited financial statements for our organization. Of course, that is not happening today. In mid-March, while our auditors were in the building conducting their reviews, of course, COVID was upon us and we shut down our municipal offices and we asked all the auditors to move out of the building. And so because of that, we have certainly had some delays as far as them completing their work. I can tell you that I have drafted all of the financial statements for the County of Renfrew, the consolidated statements for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation. We have drafted all of the provincial reports, financial information returns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for all of our operating divisions. All of the financial statements are done. What we have to complete still is the auditors satisfying their part of the task in ensuring that they are satisfied that these statements are fairly presented. Next week, through some agreement with our CAO, Paul Morrow, we will have a team of auditors re-entering this building under the new health and safety guidelines as far as wearing masks and being segregated. So a team of 3 of them will come back into our building and be working very isolated in 3 separate offices, and they intend to complete their audit work next week. We also have 1 auditor going to Renfrew County Place to complete the work on the Renfrew County Housing Corporation. And unfortunately, of course, both of our long-term care homes are restricted access. And so the admin staff are working this week on collecting all of the information necessary for the auditors to complete their source document testing. So they will bundle up that information and send it to the auditor's office next week for them to complete their work. So stay tuned. As soon as they are satisfied with the completeness and fairness of our statements at a future F&A meeting, we will have Karen Black join us on a Zoom meeting and present to you those statements. Item number 2, again, just trying to ensure that council, this committee is well apprised of sort of the financial impact on our organization as it relates to COVID-19. I have prepared this chart. I see that it's getting more and more detail on the chart and getting smaller and smaller, and so I apologize. At our next financial report, I will include this as an appendice, as a full-page appendice, so it's a little easier for you to see. The net result is from mid-March until the end of May, our expenses total $1.6 million, and we have revenues to offset those costs of $1.3 million. So our net impact to the County of Renfrew at the end of May is $317,000. I suspect it's going to be slightly higher than that, simply because this report was prepared on June the 1st to ensure that I could have that ready for mail out for this committee meeting today. So there is still some accounts payables that will be paid for and posted into the month of May. So this will change certainly, but I'm giving you the most up-to-date information that I had as effective June the 1st. Item number 3 is an announcement that all of you, I'm sure, are well aware of at this point in time. On June the 1st, the Prime Minister indicated that they would be fast-tracking the $2.2 billion in support to Canadian municipalities through an advance of the gas tax fund. They're not increasing the gas tax fund. They are simply combining the summer and fall payments together in one payment. We expect that to happen in the month of June. So our $2.7 million will be received, all of it in the month of June. And that's really a liquidity and cash flow effort on behalf of the federal government to assist municipalities. Halfway down the page, you'll see the comments with respect to FCM, lobbying all governments to provide $10 billion in liquidity to support its members, 7.6 of which would be allocated to offsetting operating losses and operating costs. And they have certainly indicated $2.4 billion in offsetting losses for municipalities with respect to major transit systems. So the Prime Minister has commented that the gas tax money is a start. We know that there is more to be done for Canadian municipalities, and so we look forward to continuing support from the federal government on this issue. Item number 4, just an update for you with respect to Provincial Offences Act and our courtroom. The Ontario Court of Justice was continuing at the time I wrote this report to resume activities beginning July the 6th. I need to make you aware of the fact that that date has been now postponed until September, with the realization that these courts are going to be very difficult to reopen in the age of COVID. However, Provincial Offences Court, our local Provincial Offences Court office, is doing everything that we can to be prepared. I attended a Zoom meeting yesterday with a company that is looking to provide video courtroom services so that remotely, like a Zoom call, we could have the Justice of the Peace, as well as the defendant, the courtroom clerk, the prosecutors, and any defense attorneys, all attending a virtual courtroom. All that activity would be recorded to be used for the court at a later point in time. So a process that's very similar to a live courtroom situation, trying to develop some software that would allow us to meet all of the Ministry of the Attorney General guidelines with respect to court practices, and yet do it on a virtual basis. So we are somewhat pioneering this technology. There are 5 courts in Ontario that are participating in pilot projects, and we jumped on this very early, and so we are one of the 5. That software, of course, is not ready at this point in time. It's being beta tested, and so I think the reprieve that we have from the ministry about a September court opening versus July helps us a lot in as far as developing virtual courtroom technology. But on item number 4 of my report indicates that when and if we resume to a live courtroom situation, we have contacted with a company that is going to provide us paging systems. And so we have already ordered 20 coaster-style pagers. These are identical to what you probably have experienced yourself when you're waiting for a table in a restaurant. So these pagers would allow defendants to stay outside in the parking lot, sit in their car, and then when we're ready for them to attend the courtroom, the pager would go off and they would present themselves at the door, allowing us to maintain maximum numbers in the waiting room and maximum numbers in the courtroom themselves. So we're moving forward as best we can in preparation for the resumption of courtroom activities. Item number 5 is an update on Provincial Offences workload. Just want to highlight for you the far left-hand column for the month of April. You'll see that our charges probably in April, as COVID was upon us, are probably among the lowest that I've ever seen for a Provincial Offences Court office at 298 charges, but immediately thereafter, in the month of May, our charges jumped back up to 841. The other thing I'd like to draw your attention to is in the month of May, you will see a significant increase in the number of files that are being reviewed. And that's really a reflection of the efforts of the courtroom staff and our POA manager, Jeanette Poole, ensuring that we use the time that we have available while the courts are closed to the public to do an awful lot of file cleanup and file review, things that are very difficult for the staff to do when we have active and busy court activities. And so they are using their time very effectively. And so kudos to Jeanette and her staff for maintaining a very efficient office. And item number 6, Madam Chair, is as a bylaw. And if you wish, I could read that recommendation to that bylaw.
Before we do that, can I do information? Thank you. Okay, so I'll go back to item number 1, the financial statements. Nothing. Okay, number 2, the financial summary of COVID. Number 3, I'm assuming, yes, Councillor Doncaster, I was going to call on you, even if you didn't have your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a brief note on this. So on May 31st, so unprecedented with any government announcements, and especially from the PMO's office. So on May 31st, around 8 o'clock at night, they reached out to FCM to meet with the CAO and the president of FCM first thing Monday morning before this was announced. And the takeoff of that is that the government recognizes that this is not what is needed to assist municipalities moving forward. But they gave FCM the heads up before they made this announcement and made it very clear with the quote that's in there from the Prime Minister that there will be more to come. So it just a point that normally the government makes these announcements and doesn't tell FCM in advance that they're going to make them. But this one they did because they knew it wasn't going to meet the requirements of what municipalities needed. So just a comment.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. That's great. Anything further on 3? Number 4, POA administration. Number 5, the workload for POA. It is, I like your comment, Jeff, that, you know, in the wake of this is the time to be doing some of that administration that doesn't naturally get done because of other workloads. So thank you for your comments on that. All right, seeing nothing else, then go ahead, Jeff, with the bylaw.
Thank you, Chair. So item number 6 is a software license lease agreement. The recommendation that Finance Administration Committee recommends that County Council adopt a bylaw authorizing the warden and the clerk to sign a lease agreement with Macquarie Equipment Finance for Symantec/Broadcom software licenses. So we've used this software for a number of years in our information technology department, and through a corporate restructuring and a transfer of business, we're now dealing with a company called Broadcom. So typically we have a 3-year sort of a licensing agreement with this organization, where on an annual basis for about $15,000 a year, we're licensed to use all of these products. Symantec simply took the 3-year agreement and divided it up, and we paid an annual amount of $15,000 and satisfied the 3-year renewal. Broadcom is not really operating on the same basis. However, we informed them that we had a budgetary pressure because of their corporate restructuring. So we have a budget of $15,000 as we typically would, and are not able to pay the $43,000 total invoice all at once. And so through some negotiations, we've looked at a lease financing agreement with a company called Macquarie, which will allow us to maintain, actually to stay underneath our annual budget amount, by entering into a 3-year lease agreement with them. Macquarie is not a new entity for us. In fact, we lease financed our most recent purchase of ambulance defibrillators through Macquarie. That lease ran to its end of term, and we still have those defibrillators in our inventory, and we're using them on a daily basis. And we have a support agreement to maintain those defibrillators through another company. So very satisfied with our work with Macquarie in the past. They are not a new entity, and so we are recommending that we move forward with a 3-year lease agreement, staying within our budget, and dealing with a company that we've dealt with for many years. And that's the end of that item, Madam Chair.
Thanks for the background. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Hunt, second by Councillor Doncaster. Any conversation about this? Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is the information of the particular issue that's in front of us. But I'm just wondering, on a regular basis, when committee or council sees these things, is that our net HST or is that the gross HST?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In this situation, that's the amount inclusive of gross HST. So that would reflect 13% of HST, and our actual municipal cost is only 1.76%. So the net cost to our organization, bottom line, is significantly lower than this number, but that is the amount that we must sign the lease agreement for.
Just fine. To Mr. Foss, is that standard of how expenditures are reported to committee and council, or is that in this instance it was required to report it that way?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, typically we report all of our expenses net of HST, so at 1.76%. But because we're going to enter into a lease agreement for the gross amount, I wanted to ensure that the report was going to be reflective of the actual lease that we were signing, so that it didn't add any confusion for committee and council at a later point in time. So that's why we structured it that way.
Thank you.
Just as a final thing, Madam Chair, if the standard is it is reported as net, where it is not reported as net, if it could be indicated in the reports that it is not, that it is gross, in fact, and instead of.
I think we can accommodate that. I understand what you're saying, though, Jeff. You didn't want the lease agreement to say one thing and this to say another. All right, anything further on the bylaw? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. All right, the report as a whole. Can I get a mover and seconder for the finance report? Councillor Doncaster, seconded by Councillor Hunt. Anything further? All those, oh, yep. Councillor Brose? No? Oh, okay, all those in favor? Sorry. Thank you. All right, thanks, Mr. Foss. And now we will move on to our Human Resources Department. Good morning, Mr. Beakley.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Morning, Madam Chair. Morning, Madam Warden and committee members. The HR report can be found on page 44. Item 1 of the report identifies some cancellations that have taken place as a consequence of COVID-19. Item A is announcement that we will not be having the annual service awards dinner in 2020. However, we will be allowing employees to select their awards, if you will, and select their gifts. We will be initiating letters of recognition to those individuals with our regrets on not being able to have the dinner. Item number 2 is the Warden's Annual Golf Tournament. So we're also canceling the golf tournament, and that's just to bring that to your attention. And then item number C was the discontinuation of the MAP program. As you're aware, that's something that I've been teaching for the last 3 years. They are, however, offering it as a distance learning program, and they are doing it virtually in Southern Ontario. I have provided links to this 25 students that were part of our program for units 1 and 2, and I'm encouraging those students to continue their education and proceed. And then just item number D is workplace update under COVID-19 as that relates to internal standard operating procedures that we've initiated within the corporation, operating procedures 39E and 40E. Those can be found on page 47 to 52 for your reference. And then item E, just so you're aware, this afternoon, I am doing a presentation and a webinar for a number of the local childcare providers. I have teamed up through Dr. Cushman with the health unit, district health unit. So there are 3 members of the health unit who are joining me, and that's very relevant given the releases last night and other releases this morning relating to the guidelines for the local childcare providers. So just to bring to your attention that that's taking place this afternoon. I think we have 19 people that are attending that webinar. Item number 2 on page 45 is resolutions, remuneration surveys for elected officials and local municipal staff. So background, Director of HR annually prepares reports. They involve total municipal remuneration for all of council, total remuneration for the position of mayor, total remuneration for the deputy mayor and reeve, and a summary of a report of local municipalities in terms of the bylaws as it relates to comparisons from municipality to municipality. There's also a second group of surveys as it relates to local compensation for staff. These surveys are available to any municipal official that would like to access them. If you wish to receive them, just email me and I will see that they're sent along. Unless you want to give me a broader directive to send them to all, that's your question. And Madam Chair, that's my report. You're muted, Madam Chair.
I'll get used to this one day. So I'll go back to item number 1, the cancellations. Anything on A, B, C, D, or E? Very disappointing. Okay, seeing none. So the resolution, the recommendation is that the Finance and Admin Committee recommends that County Council approve the Director of Human Resources continue to prepare the elected official remuneration and staff compensation reports on behalf of the County Council on an annual basis. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Rose, seconded by Councillor Hunt. Any discussion on this? Any idea when they're going to change the threshold for the sunshine list, Bruce?
We've heard no word to that effect. I think the last document that I looked at when this was originally done a long time ago, 10 or 15 years ago, that the normal now 100,000 threshold would be somewhere around 175,000. So that's the last thing I read regarding this. I mean, if you've seen the documents in terms of its sheer volume, it's just so weighty to go through in terms of content. So it doesn't have the value it once had a long time ago.
Gotcha. All right. All those in favor? Thank you. The report as a whole. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the HR report, please? Moved by Councillor Brose, second by Councillor Donoghue. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Councillor Donoghue, you had something.
I did. I apologize. For the life of me, I couldn't find, but it was in fact item number D within item 1. That is the policy. I know throughout the policy, through you, Madam Chair, perhaps to Mr. Beakley, throughout the document, it makes reference to Public Health Ontario or PHO. And I just wanted to verify that that is the authority or agency providing guidance, et cetera, because Public Health Ontario is I believe it's a corporation governed by a board of directors that provides information, I believe, to the province. But I think that it is the office of the Chief Medical Officer of Health that actually publishes guidelines and recommendations on restrictions, social distancing, the 6 meters, et cetera. When I searched certainly Public Health Ontario also, I believe, is the managing agency for the several Public Health Ontario testing laboratories. But I just wanted to verify with Mr. Beakley that Public Health Ontario is the actual agency that provides the guidance on various protocols and requirements.
So through you, Madam Chair, I will confirm and verify that since you raised that flag in correspondence to me the other day. I haven't had the chance to do the double check. It was my understanding from my colleagues and talking to the players in Eastern Ontario that was the source, but I'll personally validate that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything further on the HR report? Seeing none. All those in favor? Excellent. All right. Is there any new business? Yes, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this, it is not entirely new business, but subsequent to Councillor Brose's question, I should heed my own kind of internal guidance and not venture or assume what numbers are. So while we were continuing with the meeting, I wanted to verify some of the numbers vis-a-vis the budget for Renfrew County and District Health Unit. And in fact, the increase was a 10% increase year over year, as the 2019 obligation of the County of Renfrew was 1.45 million. In fact, the increase then was 145,000, not the 25,000 that I had suggested. But I also wish to bring to committee's attention, they may recall, but for that 90% subsidy, it would otherwise have been $585,800. So if, again, the budget were to be frozen for the Renfrew County and District Health Unit in 2021, we can anticipate an additional 440,000 requirement. So again, I think that if it's difficult to recall, it seems like it was perhaps a century ago prior to the pandemic, we were quite engaged with the provincial government from the county perspective, both with public health and the paramedic service. But that those concerns with the downloading of public health costs and perhaps the diminishment of input and direction into the local needs is going to be resurrected. As committee, I'm sure will recall, Mr. Jim Pine, the CAO for Hastings County, is the lead from the province, from the ministry, in engaging the various municipalities. So it is something to certainly keep in mind, that it would not have been a $145,000 increase. It would have been just under $600,000, the downloaded cost from the province.
Thank you for that clarification. Councillor Brose, are you good with that explanation?
Yes, I appreciate all the extra information, and it is certainly helpful. Thanks.
Yes, Warden.
Just to follow up with comments from Councillor Donahue, that at the last EOWC meeting, I did ask Mr. Pine specifically if he was going to be continuing as a consultant, looking at, I can't remember what it's called now, but looking at healthcare in general across Ontario. And he indicated that he believed that it would continue possibly this summer. So we'll see.
Dave Williams is just a little busy right now. All right. Is there anything further new business? Seeing none. So the date of our next meeting is Thursday, August 13th. And I will ask for a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Sweet, second by Councillor Brose. All those in favor? Thank you. We are adjourned. Thanks, guys.